This conference will now be recorded.
Welcome, everyone, to our ANCAN Blood Cancer Support Group. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Michele Nadeem-Baker, one of your moderators, and I am in Boston, and I have chronic lymphocytic leukemia. Lynn is another moderator. Lynn, could you introduce yourself and then we'll move forward?
Sure, I'm also from Boston, as you can tell by my accent. And put the car in the garage. Oh, I'm from West Texas, and believe it or not, depending on what part of Texas you're from, your accent can actually be a little bit different. But anyway, and I have small lymphocytic lymphoma, SLL, which is the same disease as CLL, except it resides in the lymph nodes. So, and it's been a journey approaching 10 years since diagnosis in October. So here I am.
And Lynn, are you going to need any time this evening to talk about anything?
I could probably talk for a couple of minutes. I could be
probably
fast.
Talk longer than
that. Okay.
If I'm asleep, I could just roll on, right along and on.
When you're asleep?
No, I don't talk in my sleep. Not that I know of.
And another moderator with us is Sally.
Hi, I'm Sally Torgerson, and I have multiple myeloma, and I reside in Indianapolis. I almost said California. I've been here for a year now, so I'm almost getting used to saying Indianapolis instead of Santa Barbara. I am also a myeloma coach, and it's like Lynn, it's been a journey, but I've only been journeying for 5 years.
And would you like some time this evening to speak?
No, thank you very much. I will interrupt other people with comments.
Alexa, can you introduce yourself to those who, I don't know who doesn't know Alexa. Everyone knows Alexa, but just in case.
Well, if you have an Amazon product, you probably indeed do know ALX or another. But I'm Alexa. I'm with ANCAN, and I was here last month, but I'm also here this month. So hello, everyone again.
Thank you for being with us and your support from ANCAN. Just going the way I'm looking on my Hollywood Squares screen, Lou, you're next. How are you?
I'm getting organized here. I'm Lou Sears, and I have multiple myeloma, and I'm also a health tree coach, and spent a few days with Sally in Utah not too long ago, a week ago, and I just 10 years. I've been on this myeloma journey for over 10 years, but still learning and still feeling like I'm still open to learn new things and try new therapies. I just started Pomalyst again, so
Wow.
I'm on steroids too.
Can't wait to hear about that. Will you share about that when we come back to you? All right. Jim.
Yes, I am the odd man in the couple, Jim Marshall. I am in the nation's capital, a stone's throw away from over there across the river. And I have prostate cancer, and the reason why I'm here, because originally at the time I applied to the VA, they told me I had non-Hodgkin's lymphoma because it had moved into the lymph nodes in the back. So I figured, oh, blood cancer. Also, I have a sister with MM, and she refuses to come. So I am a pinch hitting for her. And so I'm interested to hear about people that have diseases within the lymph nodes and what happens to them. And the catch is I could talk for just a little bit because I got some news.
All right. And, it just shows for people that, their loved ones can also join our meetings, which we don't see a lot of. So Jim, thank you. And some year, I'd say someday, but some year we'll meet your sister. Sally,
I'm trying. I'm trying. Sally is too.
Sally, you're muted. I didn't do it though. I didn't, honest.
I have met his sister, Sue Cunningham,
Wow.
and I've actually Zoomed with her. And
Oh.
every once in a while we talk.
You did Zoom? Oh, wow. Okay, great.
This is about 3 months ago, but
Okay, great.
So she's real.
she is real.
Mary, how are you tonight?
Well, I have to say my myeloma has been the least of my worries. I've had a sore throat that they got rid of with antibiotics. And then I had this cough that continues. Then I had a tree come down in my yard and somehow I got poison ivy, which is spread over my whole body. And I'm basically miserable.
Oh, well, then we definitely could come back to you then. We're coming back to you so we can talk to you.
Well, that's all there is to say, except for I was going off the Dex because the doctor said I didn't really need to take it. So now I'm on big doses of prednisone for the poison ivy. So you can't win.
Well, but the good news is, Mary, prednisone only stays in your system 36 hours. Dex stays in your system 72.
Oh, okay.
And the big
Well,
dose does not compute equally to Dex because Dex is 3 times stronger than prednisone. So the numbers don't jive.
well, it's still keeping me awake.
Yeah, I know. I'm
Thought I
on
was gonna
prednisone
get a
and I was
break.
awake all night.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Okay.
here's your bird, Mary, and she's going crazy here. Barbell, representing all of the EU.
Yeah, I have to. Everybody else is asleep around this time.
And I know, and here you are with us. Will you need time this evening to speak? Would you like some time? Okay. All right. So we'll come back to you.
What time is it in Germany, Barbell?
Oh, it's 2:30 almost now in the morning.
Wonderful.
And you're not on Dex or prednisone.
No.
How do you have all this energy?
I got accustomed to it because, with the time zones, it's always that way. From California, it's 9 hours. From the East Coast, it's 6 hours. And like from Texas, it's 7 hours. So I know already the time zone's pretty good.
Yeah. And you're what time do you get up in the morning? Your time? Do you sleep in?
You talking to me?
Yes. To you.
A little bit. But when in summer it's light early, then I wake up. In winter, not so much. But I have the time. I'm retired, so I can sleep in if I want to, and I can get up if I want to also.
Well, see, our group is so much fun that it's worth Barbell staying up late for us.
It's nice, I mean, I'm in the group now for quite a while, and I like it. So
we love having you here.
Thank you.
You're gonna have to help me brush up on my German sometime soon. So I'm just looking around at people. So Lou, you had just mentioned, are you back on the drug that you were on that was miraculous in a very short time?
No, I might be going back on it, soon. My doctor hasn't decided exactly which direction to go. I was on teclistamab, which is a bispecific, and it worked really well very quickly, but I had neurotoxicities and could not continue with it after 39 days. But those 39 days on teclistamab gave me remission, like complete remission for, I think, 6 months, because just recently my numbers started to increase. And so it's a drug that's supposed to be given sub-Q, in the stomach every week. So occasionally they'll go to every other week, but that's when someone's been on it for a long time and can tolerate, or their numbers can handle, that. But that's not what happened for me. But I was thankful for those months that I had remission. What I'm doing right now, I was supposed to start it a few weeks ago, but was in the hospital 3 weeks ago with cryptosporidium, which is an intestinal bug that you can get either from water, like contaminated water, or contaminated fruits or vegetables. And they think that I've been eating lots of strawberries lately. And if you have a compromised immune system, you can get this more easily. Normal people usually, they don't even know that they have it. They fight it off and their body goes on. But people who have immune systems sometimes it'll hit them hard, which it did for me. I ended up in the hospital 4 days, and then 3 days later I had to go back. But it's not fun. And I was on 2 antibiotics, which I completed before I went to Utah for the Coaches Summit, which was nice. I would have hated to have missed that. But anyway, now I make sure I'm treating my fruits and vegetables like I used to after my stem cell transplant, where I'm soaking them in vinegar and water, making sure that I not just a quick rinse, in a colander. So back on that routine just to make sure that I survive this summer.
No,
But
I don't know about this.
I'm on Pomalyst and dexamethasone right now. I've started that regimen again as of Tuesday, and it is just a bridging treatment until Dr. Abdallah decides whether or not I'm going to go through second CAR T, which would be the Carvecti, I think, is the second CAR T. I did
That's
a Beckma.
better than the other one.
Yeah, I did a Beckma already, and so I would do the other one. But the other possibility is to go back on teclistamab, but perhaps at every other week. And now that it's FDA approved, the doctor can determine the dosage of treatment. So that's how it stands for me right now.
So
Did the FDA actually release it today?
Oh, I haven't heard the other one.
Yeah. No, the teclistamab. I thought that was supposed to be released today too.
Teclistamab has been out there. It was FDA approved several months ago.
Oh, okay. Then it must be the TAL one.
Tequitamab.
Tequitamab. Yeah.
Similar names.
Yeah, I haven't heard.
Yeah, that's what the secret was that Josh was playing with.
So
Yeah.
I didn't see it on any of my feeds yet today, but sometimes the feeds I get, by the time they're, I guess the word, I don't know what it'd be, posted as opposed to published.
Right.
Doesn't mean
I
it.
thought he said Friday, Sally.
Oh, I thought he said Thursday or Friday. It doesn't make it.
Okay.
And maybe next
Yeah,
week,
I thought-
the FDA.
Yeah, I heard Friday, so, but I'm not sure.
So on this your intestinal infection, what are the parts of vinegar and water that we're supposed to be using for those of us with immune compromised systems?
I don't really measure. I just put water in a, large plastic bowl, and, like the big plastic salad size bowls. And then I just do about a half a cup of vinegar just to mix it in. And then I let it soak for about 4 or 5 minutes. And then I rinse it, and you can't taste the vinegar. It just helps purify and clean any fruits or vegetables. Actually, potatoes, I will use my dish soap. I'll squirt a little bit of dish soap and just rub it around and scrub it, because it's in the ground, and potatoes can get pretty dirty, and if you're not going to be peeling them, like tonight I made chicken breasts mixed in with potatoes, little red potatoes, quartered, and I mixed that in with olive oil and some honey mustard dressing on the chicken. Anyway, it was very good, but I don't peel those little red potatoes. So I wanted to make sure that the skins were real clean and everything. So I'm just trying to be extra cautious now.
No, that sounds good. And I read recently that there are some strawberries that have been contaminated out there and that they're hard to clean.
Yes. The doctor said there were 3 patients with that cryptosporidium at that hospital, which is a small, Lee Summit, a suburb of Kansas City is where I live. And the hospital over here that I go to when it's emergency, David takes me there because it's closer than going to the University of Kansas Hospital where I'm treated. But in that small hospital, 3 cases, and he said that's rare. He said he never gets them. So it could just be batches that one particular grocery store where we shop that has 3 stores in our area, maybe just their particular strawberries were, the problem. So he's not sure.
You've had some really strange problems over the course of your animal.
Mold in my bone marrow.
Well, the mold in your bone marrow just blew me away.
I know. If it's possible, then I'll get it.
That really,
Well,
yeah.
and when you were on teclistamab, you waited a month before you got the neurotoxicity, and most everybody else gets it in 7 days or something.
I know. Go figure.
You're just special, Lou.
That's
It's God knows she can handle it with a smile.
That's right. That is true. Now, you were going on a big trip. Did that happen?
It's in October. We go to London. We're going to stay at Trafalgar Square for a week. One day and night, we're going to go to Paris for just a Eiffel Tower kind of tour, and we're going to stay overnight and then come back on the Channel. But I haven't done the Channel before, so this will be interesting.
That'll be exciting. Yeah, I was just looking into that myself. You said October?
October 14th, yeah.
Well, if I do go with friends, but I don't know if I'll be cleared to go. We'd just be missing each other. We'd be going the end of October, so London and Paris, but
Yeah.
unsure.
I think we're just there for 8 days, so
That'll be lovely.
yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Well, how are you feeling now that you started back on things again? Are you cleaning the whole house on the deck?
I've taken it 3 different times, throughout the 10 years. So Pomalyst has never really given me any major problems, but dexamethasone does. I mean, I didn't sleep all Tuesday night. Wednesday night, I slept from last night 2:30 to 4:30. And then tonight, hopefully I'll get more sleep.
So
between you and Michelle and Mary, we should be calling each other at 3 in the morning.
We should.
I was thinking that we should just like send each other a little text. Are you awake? Are you awake? I know. Be so much better than like.
None of us slept last night.
Well, let's see if that continues around here. So So Mary, you said you already spoke. Barbell, did you sleep? But you don't sleep, Barbell. You're awake right now.
I'm awake, yeah, but I slept a bit in the afternoon, so it's okay. You know, I take care of myself, I think.
Well, by the way, I really love their new photo on Facebook.
Oh, yes, did you? I thought I had to put a new one on, you know, because I change all the time. I'm getting older. And sometimes it's funny, you know, on these Facebook accounts, they have a photo like 10 years old, and you think, oh, they're really young. And in the meantime, they're already ancient.
I think you look the same. Actually, your hair is looking very sassy this evening, Barbell.
Thank you.
So Lynn, what is happening with you? And did you sleep last night, or could you have been in on our party line?
Did I sleep last night? I slept
Yeah.
just fine. Um, and I want to welcome Al. Al slipped in, and some of y'all may not realize that he's here, but he is here from sunny Arizona, I believe. And uh, actually, all I have to report on is going to see the urologist, which I haven't seen a urologist in a year. And probably what I'm going to say only makes sense to Jim and Al, unless you ladies' husbands tell you about their urological problems. But anyway, my urologist said that the Flomax that I quit taking a year ago, that I need to resume taking it because retaining too much urine in the bladder. And then I resumed it, went back to see her, and now she wants me to take it twice a day. And so I'm also checking my blood pressure because it tends to lower the blood pressure. So anyway, that's the excitement on the non-cancer side. And on the cancer side, I will be seeing um, my doctor at UT Southwest Dallas, Dr. Farouk Awan. I will be seeing him the last Thursday of this month. So I think that's around the 31st or 30th. So I will have that to report on the next time we're together. And that's about it from here.
Are you, if I remember correctly, you're not on treatment right now?
I'm on a drug holiday, but I'm still taking a lot of pills. But they're not related to blood cancer. There's a Anyway, yeah, there's a lot of pills. I can, funny. I can remember 15 years ago, I wasn't taking any medicine, no pills at all. I was kind of proud of that fact, but now I take them, and I'm glad that they're there to keep me going. But my doctor thinks that we probably can get 2.5 to 3 years before I will have to go back on treatment, and we don't know at this point what that will be. We'll just see what develops and what's working and what's new at that time. And people like Michele are pioneering for us on these new medicines, so I might be following in her footsteps.
Well, there'll be a lot other things approved, I think, in 2.5 to 3 years, Lynn, which is
Yeah.
exciting. There's so much in the pipeline with all these other drugs, you know, the new type of BTK, the Barbell, correct me if I'm wrong, the new ones are non-covalent, is that correct? No, non-covalents, and then
Non-covalent.
there's going to be the BTKI degraders and the
Bispecifics.
Has both features,
Yes.
covalent and non-covalent. I wonder what that is, but that's pretty new.
Yeah, there are all sorts of exciting things. So, you know, that's wonderful, 2.5 to 3 years, a drug holiday. That would be nice. I'm envious. Well, Lynn, I'm glad that you don't have to be on anything right now. Your SLL, you're doing well, and I hope that continues.
My doctor wants to see me about every 3 to 4 months right now. So, of course, with SLL, the blood work is not as meaningful as it would be with CLL, but we'll be getting regular blood work. And
You had a scan too, didn't you? You
What?
had a scan too, didn't you?
I had what?
A
Scans.
scan
I had a
or something.
yes, I had a scan a couple of months ago, and the doctor said, as far as he's concerned, there's no sign of any cancer. He said you're in clinical remission. So we didn't do the the deep dive to the next gen to see in a million cells if there's any cancer. But I had bone marrow aspirations and all those fun things that we look forward to.
So for SLL, I would think that, or CAT scans then in a physical exam would be important parts of that to measure.
My doctor, MD Anderson, believes strongly in the CAT scan because he treated other kinds of lymphoma as well. But yeah, I was getting CAT scan every 3 months. I started on my first treatment, and then at 3 months we checked and said the first treatment's not working. So then that's when they started me on ibrutinib, and so then 3 months later we did another CAT scan, and we did that for about a year, and then after a year we did it about every 6 months, and finally we went to where we were doing it just once a year, and by then it was getting pretty boring, but
That's a good thing.
yeah.
Boring.
So
That
One of
means
the things that the doctors talked about at the seminar last week was and also there was one of the vendors, in the lobby where they have developed instead of bone marrow biopsies or in the hip, they're now starting to do it in the peripheral blood. It is already available for CLL, but not for myeloma. But now they have one that they're working on for myeloma.
and
So pretty soon you can have that every week instead of, every 6 months.
that's interesting. You would think they could do it well, and not everywhere accepts it yet. My hospital does not, which is sad. So I have to have a bone marrow biopsy in about 3 months. And I'm hoping by then that they change and accept it.
yeah, I'm just
There are
wondering
3
because
companies that actually make it, and clonoSEQ is one of them. clonoSEQ has a peripheral blood as well as the bone blood, the bone marrow.
since the bone
And
marrow
then the other one is
bone marrow tends to be a hiding place. I'm not sure that it would be. The doctors would know whether it was as good as a true bone marrow or not, I guess.
Well, I've seen the clinical trials for it, and the numbers are exactly the same. I mean, I've read them. I haven't,
Okay.
attended the meetings or anything, but I've read them, and because they also not only look for the differences, but it's called CMM, and it's a clinical partner of what you're looking for in the blood. So, I mean, the bone marrow. So,
Sally,
and the tests are all approved by the clinic, the National Clinical Laboratory Board or whatever it's called. But two of them are not even going for FDA approval. And I don't know what's happening to the other 2.
So it doesn't work for multiple myeloma, or it's just not approved?
No, they have just developed the one for multiple myeloma. The one for CLL and AML had been approved about a year ago.
Okay.
Sally, did you ever think of being a doctor?
No. I'd rather be a chef.
I think the doctor, I don't know if it was Dr. Wolf or Rector, talked about how they still have to use it for initial diagnosis. I think it was Dr. Wolf, that they still use the
FISH,
biopsy, for the initial diagnosis.
They have to use the bone marrow because they can't get the genetic markers and everything from the peripheral blood, but they can get the counts.
Huh.
Like for MRD negativity and things like that.
Thank you. Marie. So Lynn, did you have any other updates?
Well, I will say that you mentioned a bone marrow biopsy. My last bone marrow biopsy was a CT guided bone marrow biopsy, which I've never had one that included the CAT scan machine with the bone marrow biopsy. Does anybody else have theirs done that away or?
Oh.
Okay,
I haven't.
okay.
Because multiple myeloma clumps, and you can get a plasmacytoma, and it happens to be right where they're doing the little um, drilling, and they're sticky. Um, it's like I was MRD negative after my stem cell, before my stem cell transplant. And the day that I was going to start the stem cell transplant, my bone marrow biopsy came back with 25% myeloma. It was less than 5, a week earlier. And what they determined that it had hit a clump, and they went ahead with the stem cell transplant anyway. And everything worked out fine. But that's why they have the guided
That makes
CT
sense.
stuff now.
Yeah, I haven't. I wonder if the next one I have will be that way. I'll have to let you all know. Jim, you said you needed some time this evening. You had some news to share.
You're muted.
There we go. Okay, the first thing was not quite part of this, but it turns out, and where the wife had her 7th COVID shot, and then she
I've had
started
6.
nagging me. And so she was nagging me. So I finally relented on a Thursday, because up until this time, the shots have been no big deal. I mean, I get them, nothing. But the 7th one, boy, put me down on Friday and probably most of Saturday. It was like I was like could hardly crawl to the bathroom. Hey, I don't know. It was thing. All of a sudden after that, everything was fine. Okay, so the other news, which is better news, was I was originally diagnosed in actually June of 2017. And so I started treatment according to a study that had just been published, and I went on the treatment with ADT, which will suppress your testosterone from the testicles, and a second-line anti-androgen that will suppress it out of the adrenal glands. And so I was on that for about 5 years until, well, actually it was about 4.5 years. And so our group started talking about a treatment holiday. And so I was a little bit dubious about that, because you don't mess with the stuff that works. So anyway, I got my hands on a few of the studies that said it was probably a good thing to do, and also the study that said don't stay on the drugs I was on too long. Well, I had already been on them about 4.5 years, so I proposed to my doctor to do a treatment holiday, and she was not enamored with it until I showed her and with the studies. And so she said, well, it's your choice. So I have been on them a year now, no drugs. And the more interesting part is I feel worse now off the drugs than I did on the drugs. And it might sound strange until you learn that what I didn't realize I had was essentially arthritis in my hands, my wrist, my elbows, and my shoulders. And a part of the treatment I was on for 5 years was to take a small dose of the prednisone. And so as a part of the treatment holiday, I stopped all that stuff. So then all of a sudden I found out what I had in my hands and the wrist and everything, but it isn't bad. So everything is good. And luckily I got myself a tube of this stuff here. DICO, right, African. Boy, this stuff is great stuff. And we're going to rub on your hands, you know, elbow.
Yeah, Jim, there's
Yeah.
cautionary tales with that stuff.
Oh, okay.
It's actually Tylenol in gel form, basically.
Well, it says NSAID, so it wouldn't be a Tylenol.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be acetaminophen. It would be more of an aspirin kind of thing, right?
Okay. Well, yeah. I'm sorry.
Yeah, right.
I sort of call everything Tylenol anymore.
Oh,
but
okay.
you can use too much, and you use the little stick that comes with it, and make sure you don't go too much over that,
Right.
because it will cause things like aspirin does of ulcers in your stomach and
Okay.
GI problems.
Yes.
And make sure that you're not taking other drugs that have the same NSAIDs in them if
Right.
you're using that.
Oh, okay.
I've been on it too.
Yeah, it is used essentially every so often because I happen to break a wrist twice and the same hand once. So that one is a little more sensitive to it. But other than that, I'm doing good.
Works.
I'm doing
Jim,
very, very good.
Jim, what's the name of that again?
DICLOF.
No, give him the start. No, give him the name that starts with a V.
Oh, wait.
Because that's the common name. You get it from the pharmacy.
Voltaren.
Voltaren, yeah.
Voltaren, okay.
But it is a prescription, so because it's strong.
Oh, it isn't. It isn't.
Oh, they've taken it off the prescription list?
Yes, I got it. I believe at the pharmacy. It's over the counter.
Then that's recent because I started it 4 years ago and I had to get prescriptions for it.
Right.
And it is an NSAID then. So
Yeah.
Lynn, you're not on ibrutinib anymore. Is there any? You can take an NSAID then, huh?
Well, I'm on a blood thinner though, so I probably wouldn't want to. I wouldn't want to have a NSAID added. And I'm not. I just thought in general, my wife's got aches and pains and things to help her along.
Sure.
Oh, what a good husband. I'm going to tell my husband about it as well. Well, Jim, thank you. And on that revelation, that's very interesting. My father had something kind of the opposite in that and I'm trying to remember what he had, but he was on prednisone for years for something he had, which was affecting his joints. And I'm trying to remember what it was. It was like, 8 syllables long. Anyway, fast forward, he was taken off of it. And then he was diagnosed a few months later with mesothelioma. And they think that perhaps the prednisone had helped keep it at bay, like it shrank it.
Right.
So unfortunately, he didn't last very long. But
no.
It's interesting what that does, what steroids can do for the good. Well, and also other things, lack of sleep. And I never understood because I was younger. It's like, why doesn't he ever sleep? But now I know why. It's like, how can he work so much and get so much done? So, but anyway, so let's see. Barbell, we'd love to hear you share.
Okay. Well, first of all, I had an appointment again, and well, they told me what the result of the biopsy was, and they also tested my blood again, and it's still good. The lymphocytes are still a little bit lowered. So my Ig levels have improved. IgG has improved, but it's still a bit lowered, but that's because my immune system is still recovering. And now I go to the biopsy. That is really a strange thing. because these are leftover cells which were damaged by the therapy. They're not new cells, well, the meds were not able to kill them. They proliferate very, very slowly. They probably can't even do much more because if you're damaged, they might not be able to do much. But what is the most interesting is that in the biopsy, they found that T cells and neutrophils are still very active in there, and the T cells are normal. So I'm strengthening my immune system that they fight these cells off because I want them to leave. But other than that, I'm okay. But I thought that was very interesting that my other cells work normally. And that is a good sign because actually our disease is a disease of the immune system. And that's the only thing that will help me. Because genetically, I have an issue from my mother's side. My mother was very sick very often. And I think she has a lot of gene mutations, which she inherited to me. But my father was really healthy. And so his, the hereditary allele makes up for the defects for the other one, but only if the immune system is good. Otherwise, it's not so good, you know, it can always come back. Well, I still have to go to checkups, but I already made my mind up. I'm going to the clinic for the rest of my life from every 3 months just for checkups for to be sure that nothing happens, and that's okay then for me.
So Barbel, it's just this one lymph node?
It's just that one lymph node, but the funny thing is they have such strange markers that it cannot even be treated. If my immune system was weak, they couldn't do anything about it because some cells lack CD20. So if you use obinutuzumab, it will not do anything to these cells because they don't have the receptor. Some cells lack CD23. CD5 was not present at all. I didn't see anything about trisomy 12 was not there. So it's like something hit them and damaged them, and the drugs actually will not be able to get them again. A BTK inhibitor wouldn't help either because they are so different. You know, each clone is different, and it would probably just do a selection. You know, and then if it's only select and the strong ones will survive, it's of no benefit then to take a BTKI.
So it's just one vagrant lymph node.
Well, that's enough, you know. Even a small amount of CLL cells, they can cause resistance to drugs.
Would it?
The problem is also, do they start migrating?
That's what I was going to ask.
But
Yeah.
they don't migrate. I don't think they're able to because they got hit on the head by the drugs.
Well, whack-a-mole, as Sally calls it, or her doctor called it. Well, so that probably will not multiply then or grow.
No, I don't think it will cause issues. And the lymph node is still not, you cannot feel it if you look for it. It was only detected in the ultrasound, so actually it's very
baby.
nice.
How big is it?
2 centimeters, 2 centimeters to 1. So it's not really that big.
So is that why they looked at it? Because it was larger than maybe others?
Yeah, well, the other, you know, they're a different size anyway. But
Well,
they say some studies say 1.5, some say 1. You know, it differs. But it is a little bit enlarged when it's 2. It's a little bit enlarged. It's not really big, but it's a little bit enlarged. But you better tackle the start of it. I mean, if it's bad, then you're in a bad shape.
Yeah, some do say 1.5, smaller than 1.5 centimeters, and some say smaller than 1. You're right, because I was just looking at that, and it's
Some 1.5, it depends really, but 2 is definitely enlarged, you know. But
so
well, were hiding in there. They were hiding in there. And the problem is the drugs don't get into the lymph nodes that much. The BTKIs get in the lymph nodes, but also not sufficient. So, well, all they can do is get the immune cells because they can get in the lymph nodes to kill these remaining CLL cells. That's the only chance you have. But
So
we have so many different immune cells. I mean, there should be some that could do that.
that's right. Well, I'm glad they're keeping an eye on it. The way it was just described to me as the, and this will tie into mine in that, so my last obinutuzumab infusion was this week. Yay. Some of you already know that. I'm very happy. It's been a very long 6 months, but I've been on acalabrutinib already for a year and a half. So I said, well, if I reach UMRD, can I go off of that as well and have a drug holiday? And I was told, no. Even if I reach it, I cannot because I have a very aggressive form of the disease. But here's another reason why. And it goes to what you were saying, Barbell. So the obinutuzumab has helped clear the way, the path more for a BTK inhibitor to work.
Right. That's
and
true.
to kill off more things. So the reason
you know how the obinutuzumab works. There is a system called a complement system, which makes proteins, and these proteins kill pathogens. And obinutuzumab activates these proteins, and it also activates the neutrophils. And the neutrophils, they can get into the lymph nodes. So you have BTKI, which can enter the lymph nodes. That's what Dr. Davis said. And you have also this effect from the obinutuzumab. And Dr. Stevens says that is a way what you are getting to get fast results. Yeah, and especially if you have a very aggressive disease, this may be the way to go.
So, yeah, so that's the other reason to stay on it. But that, when the OBIN is said, they don't know exactly, they say it can last 6 to 24 months in your system. You had AVO or no?
It is active for a long time. And I mean, I still have the effect of the drug. The drug is, of course, not in the system anymore, but the neutrophils are very active. They're still very active. And I stopped taking drugs altogether in March 21, but the obinutuzumab was done almost a year earlier, so you can see how long this works.
So I will not be able, I thought I would know my UMRD status because CT scans were ordered for before my last treatment, which I didn't quite understand, but apparently it was a bit premature to have them. So I will need to have them again in 3 months. But I'm just happy to be off the OBIN and not having to keep having it and feeling icky.
They did after the obinutuzumab in my case as well, and there were no lymph nodes there. And now they found this one lump. Well, since my immune system is active, I think it will defeat it. So you'll see.
I hope so for you, and I think it will be. Great attitude as well on that. So Al,
the effect for a while, now you're done with obinutuzumab and it will work for a while.
That's right. Thank you. Al, tell us what's up with you. And, I was just reading some other drug companies are getting into research for PV and have some drugs in the pipeline, some additional ones that I was just reading about. And I'll try to keep on top of them for you.
Yeah, I haven't heard of any new ones recently. But anyway, what else is going on with me? I got my first shingles shot about 2 or 3 weeks ago. Wasn't that bad. I think I got it on Friday and I just felt a little fatigued on Saturday, which comes with what I'm dealing with anyway. So it's hard to tell what it was. Wasn't a big deal. And then I have my 4-month appointment coming up next week. See how that goes. And then what else was I gonna say? I think that's it. Just holding. I got to do lab work before my appointment, and I mean I'm feeling okay. You know, I just deal with the fatigue here and there.
Does
And
it get worse at times?
if I overdo myself, yeah, you know, if I mean I try and do things like I used to do, and can't do that anymore. So if I do something, I end up paying for it.
And do you have any signs of when your PD is worsening? Or has that not happened in a long time?
No. I mean, it's all a roller coaster ride, really. In some of the other groups I'm in, pretty much everybody's dealing with the same thing. Everybody's journey is different. Some people still work. Some people can still, like, there's this guy I'm friends with, and I met him through like a group chat and one of the other groups. And we've talked a couple times on the phone. He's a retired police officer, and he turned his garage into a gym. And he's nearly 70 years old. And you should see this guy work out. He's a beast. He's a monster. And I try it, and after a couple hours, I'm laid out. But he uses up all his energy first thing in the morning, because afternoon, after 12, he's done. He's the same way. He'll be on the couch the rest of the day watching TV. But when you see him working out in his gym, you would never think there's nothing wrong with this guy. So yeah, everybody's different. Just got to watch
I
it.
was going to say, I get exhausted just, walking through the grocery store.
Yeah, before I was
The big
diagnosed,
grocery stores.
I remember, you probably all remember when I used to discuss this, that before I was diagnosed, or during the year I was being diagnosed, if I went out and got the mail, I'd come back in and I was done. It'd be an hour or two before I could get up and go throw a load of the laundry in. And then I'd go back and watch TV for another hour or two, and then put the laundry in the dryer, and to get the clothes out of the dryer and to fold them, that was like an 8-hour job for me. Well, now I could go get the mail. I wash dishes, I'll do the laundry, and I try, I'll weed eat. But I just got to pace myself. I got to take breaks in between everything I do.
That's a good way to manage it. So you've learned how to cope with it.
Yeah, and stay hydrated.
Listen to your body.
Yeah, got to stay hydrated. Especially out here in the Southwest right now.
Yeah. Well, how has it been?
Well, we cooled off for a while. There was just one day I think we didn't go over 100, but it rained that day. Now the rains have calmed down. I think this weekend we're going to hit 110 again for a couple days.
That's ridiculous.
I know here we complain like when it's like in the high 90s, which is hot.
Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy. You're right, Sally. That is ridiculous.
Except Sally, it's dry heat.
Yeah.
Right?
I remember the dry heat.
It's a dry heat. That's what they call it. I mean, you walk out of the house and it's like you're walking into an oven. Yeah, you can't even sit in the shade.
Well, thank you everyone for joining us this evening. It's been a wonderful group meeting. Next time we see you will be, I have to look in September, will it be before or after Labor Day? I mean, will we already be at the official end of summer? Say it isn't so. It is September 7th. Crap, it'll be after Labor Day.
Yeah.
That's so sad. Well, I want everyone to enjoy the rest of their summer, but we're going to end the recording, but I know that Alexa wants us to stay on a few minutes. So once the recording is over, if you can all stay a few more minutes, that would be great. So thank you everyone who's watching this in our recording.